They may not be the best team in college football right now, but I don't know if there's any other team playing better right now in the fourth quarter than the Georgia Bulldogs. They are suffocating teams in the final quarter. They are a fourth quarter football team. That's where they thrive, and we're going to talk all about it in today's video. We got numbers. We're going to be breaking down how good this team has been in the final quarter of games, especially over the last several weeks. It wasn't exactly pretty against Tennessee, and we know what happened against Alabama. Couldn't get those stops late in the game, but I tell you what, if there's another team playing better at the end of games, especially in the second half and mainly in the fourth quarter, y'all let me know. Maybe it's Ohio State, maybe it's Indiana. I didn't break down those numbers, but I did go back quickly and look at how good Georgia's been. And we're going to dive into the numbers right now, but first, before I forget, because I will, Sales Hatch, they are a great sponsor for us. Listen, if you have a small business or if you're in sales, you're looking to find new clients, but you don't want to send all those emails, do all those cold calls, right? Sales Hatch is for you. That's what they do. They do the dirty work so you can not waste your time with all that stuff. You can keep doing your job. Let Sales Hatch get you in touch with other businesses and other people to help your business grow or to make a sale, right? The toughest part isn't exactly closing a deal. It's getting that first foot in the door, and Sales Hatch can do that for you. They're a great sponsor. So if you're in the business world and you could use some help reaching out to others, make sure you are checking out Sales Hatch. So let's start with the Ole Miss game as my daughter starts to wake up from her nap, and we're not even 2 minutes into this bad boy. It's okay. She's all right. Ole Miss, okay, fourth quarter. That's when the stops happen, right, for the Georgia defense. They scored 5 straight touchdowns in the first 3 quarters. Then they only put up 13 total yards in the fourth quarter. They went 0 for 3 on third down and obviously had 0 points in that one. Sweet girl, I need you to go back down just for a couple minutes. So in the defense, they made stops on third down. I just said that, but 0 for 3 on third down, and they tightened up. And some of that, I think, is them just playing better, playing a little faster. Kirby Smart said that it got a little cooler in the air late in that ball game. The sun wasn't directly hitting them, so they were able to kind of fight back and play. And a lot of teams can't do that. Ole Miss is obviously a 3-quarter football team. They could play 4 quarters with others. They couldn't do it against the Dogs. A lot of these teams, they get up early, and I even said that going into the Ole Miss game. If they want to beat Georgia, they got to get their points early and hold on for dear life. And they tried. They just weren't good enough. They could not handle playing against the Dogs for 4 quarters. Auburn couldn't do it either. They had 29 total yards in the fourth quarter. They were 0 for 3 on third down, and they had 0 points in the final quarter. So it feels like, this team is kind of built for it, and Kirby Smart said that during his press conference right after the game against Ole Miss. He said, quote, "I've always felt like we've had fourth quarter teams. We've just had so many leads in the fourth quarter in the past because we've been better. Our margins are smaller now, so we have to be a fourth quarter team because we're behind. We've got to find ways to play better earlier." And that's a whole nother video for another day, the starts, right? They started fast offensively against Ole Miss, but defensively, again, it's like they start the game and they have to get punched a couple times to wake up. And against Ole Miss, they had to get punched for 3 straight quarters before they woke up. But they made the plays, they made the tackles, they got enough pressure, and they used the crowd against Ole Miss to rally. And they also used the offense. The offense scored again late in that ball game and went up to the defense, and they said, "Hey, you got to make a stop here. You got to make a stop here. Hey, help us out. If you make a stop, we're going to win the game because we're rolling." The defense said, "You know what? It is time. The fourth quarter is ours." Kirby Smart told the team the second half is ours. That obviously did not happen, but the fourth quarter was. And again, they gave only 13 yards to Ole Miss, 29 total yards to Auburn in the fourth quarter. The Kentucky Wildcats had 79 yards in the fourth quarter. They were also 0 for 3 on third down. They did score 7 points on the backups, but I think things are probably different if those first stringers had still be in there. And we'll go and talk about the Alabama-Tennessee fourth quarters in just a second, but I do want to make a point to talk about the adjustments Kirby Smart says, we're really not making a ton of adjustments. Everyone wants to talk about that. The defense could play really, really sloppy and poor sometimes and then dominate like they did against Auburn in the second half and like they did against Ole Miss, if you want to say dominate, just in that fourth quarter alone. And he said, we're not doing anything different. We're just playing better. We're striking better. We're tackling better. It's the adjustments. He said they're making some things here and there, and he may take over the play calling against Ole Miss defensively. That's an adjustment, though, right? You're changing things up. You're adjusting from what wasn't working. But he has said multiple times they're not really throwing the script down and doing something completely new. They're not giant adjustments. The guys just happen to be playing better. And I think that goes to the heart and the fight that this team has, especially on defense, what they have. They play for each other. They play for their quarterback. Yes, the defenders play for their quarterback. And there's a lot of pride with this team. And you could see it. Even when they're playing bad, they find a way to step up and they win in many different ways. Let's go back to the Alabama game, though. They did give up 75 yards to Alabama in the fourth quarter. The difference, though, was that Alabama's a four-quarter football team, and they continue to play well and execute at a high level in the final quarter on the road. They were 3 for 4 on third down. That was the difference. They didn't score any points. They didn't have to. They knew if we could get stops defensively and get first downs on offense, the game's over. And that's what they were able to do in the fourth quarter. So 3 for 4 on third down. They kept the clock moving. They kept the chains moving. And they didn't allow Georgia to get the ball back quickly like they were able to do against Auburn when they were I think they gave up maybe 2 first downs, maybe 1 first down in that second half. But there were short drives, and the offense got the ball back with confidence, and that allowed them to take the lead, commanding lead, I guess, in the fourth quarter against Auburn, and it allowed them to hold on, take the lead, and secure it against Ole Miss. But it didn't work out so much against Alabama. They still give up 0 points. Against Tennessee, not great. They did give up 139 total yards in the fourth quarter. The Vols were 3 for 4 on third down in the final quarter, and they did score 10 points. So it wasn't great against Tennessee, but I think they played a little better in the fourth quarter defensively against Alabama than they did Tennessee. Kentucky, again, those were mainly the backups, but the way that the defense played, particularly the offense, was really good late in the ball game against Auburn and throughout the game against Ole Miss. But defensively, when they needed to get stops and they needed to step up and make plays, they did it in the other two, or the most recent 2 SEC games. So 5 SEC games total. They've given up 17 points in the fourth quarter, 10 points if you just count the starters. Again, Ole Miss over 3 on third down. Auburn over 3 on third down. Kentucky over 3 on third down. The last 3 SEC teams combined are 0 for 9 on third down in the fourth quarter against this Georgia defense. So we talk about themes and consistency. The biggest consistency that this team has is that they're kind of inconsistent, right? Sometimes they're playing really, really well. Sometimes they're not. But they do consistently get down in games by multiple scores. They were down multiple scores against Tennessee, Alabama, Auburn, and Ole Miss. So that has been a consistent theme. The slow starts defensively, still kind of a theme, but the offense is rolling around. And again, I've talked a lot about the defense in the fourth quarter. It's the offense, too. They keep rolling. The offense was great down the stretch against Auburn. They found a way against Tennessee, obviously, on fourth down, the big throw to London Humphreys. The whole team seems to play really well in the fourth quarter, not just the defense, but the offense has certainly made their fair share of plays in the fourth quarter. Obviously, not against the Tide, but Alabama's Alabama. They're one of the best teams in the country. They've got Georgia's number. It is what it is. But against basically everyone else, Georgia has done very, very well in the fourth quarter. In Knoxville, it was just the offense, but against Ole Miss, it was offense and defense. They won the fourth quarter. That's why they won the game. And then against Auburn, I don't want to say the Auburn Tigers ran out of gas. They weren't good enough, and they played their hearts out that first half, did everything they could, but Georgia was better than them. And they got some borderline calls that went their way, sure, but the better team won, and the better team won in Athens because the better team was the fourth quarter team, the team that plays for 60 minutes at a high level. Ole Miss, good team, but they couldn't handle playing Georgia well for 4 quarters. So we said that the whole week leading up to the game? Can Ole Miss play really well for 4 quarters? Can they do what Alabama did and win the fourth quarter in Athens against this defense? I had my doubts. I didn't think so. I was right. I haven't been right a lot in terms of making picks. My picks against the spread could not be any worse. But we don't have to dive into that. Listen, this might be the best fourth quarter team in the country. Complete team across the board, probably not. They are a top 5 team in the country, and if we're talking about who's the best team in the fourth quarter, the Georgia Bulldogs might be number 1. All right, thanks for watching. Hope you learned something, and I'll see you over on dawgpost.com. Thanks.